The Little Mermaid has been extremely controversial, and reception to its release shows that. Not only are the critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes pretty awful, and the all-audience scores are abysmal, Disney stans yelled up and down about how it would be extremely successful and would prove the haters wrong, but it actually failed to hit its projected numbers over the weekend, plus analysts think it could lose upwards of $50 million for Disney. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So starting with this comicbook.com article, it says The Little Mermaid's official opening weekend box office numbers are lower than projected. The Little Mermaid's official opening weekend box office numbers are out, and they indicate a nice wave of money coming in for Disney and movie theaters everywhere, even if the wave was smaller than projected. Originally, it was said that the film could make upwards of 120 to 123 million domestically over the 4-day Memorial Day weekend holiday, while updated projections for it stated that by the end of the weekend it pulled in 117.5 million domestically over the Memorial Day holiday, which is obviously lower than the 120 plus projections. Now obviously this wasn't a complete and total bomb for them over Memorial Day weekend, but it is important to point out that they did get lucky. They picked this weekend for a reason. They had one extra day to rack up sales, and even with it, they still failed to hit their expectations. It still didn't do what they were expecting, and it also has flopped overseas. It has not done what they expected in other markets at this point. We know that it made only 2.5 million in China, right? It made, as these numbers say, 6.1 million in the UK, Italy 4.6, France 3.7, but these numbers are tiny compared to what they technically should be. They expected a hell of a lot more from the international box office, and they just didn't get it. But now, because of all of these numbers, box office analysts are predicting that it will end up actually losing 50 to 100 million dollars. It says box office analyst and YouTuber OMB Reviews shared his analysis of the box office receipts for the past Memorial Day weekend and predicted that they could, see a flop with this movie. I mean, it is making money. It's not like it completely was dead on release, but they do need this to be massively successful. I mean, they have spent over $300 million at this point between the film's budget and also marketing, so they need to make upwards of $600 million just for it to basically be considered successful, never mind what they actually want it to do, right? They want it to hit $1 billion. That is what they are practically expecting it to do, or else they wouldn't have shoved so much money into it, and it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen for them. It says in a recent video upload, the analyst began, we're going to talk about The Little Mermaid, how it's doing domestically, but internationally, oh boy, this movie is in a ton of trouble. Seeing that it has a simultaneous release in all of the major markets overseas, with the one exception being Japan. However, if we are looking at the other markets in the East right now, it's not looking good at all for the prospects of this movie. And, it's going to have a lot of competition over the next few weeks. We have Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny that's going to be releasing. We have The Flash as well. Pixar also is releasing Elemental in about 2 weeks, and the early critic reviews are not very positive for it. But you also have to consider that it had, pretty decent competition even this weekend. While, yes, it did obviously hit number one, Fast X was not that far away from it. And going forward, it's not like it's got a month worth of, time at the theaters where it's got zero competition. He asserted that I think there's a good chance that we'll see The Little Mermaid end up being a box office flop, and let's just say it couldn't happen to a nicer company. I hate Disney, I know a lot of you hate Disney, and I wish they'd actually start listening to their consumers. I've talked about this movie several times. I am a massive fan of the '89 animated, and unfortunately this movie failed to capture my attention. I have seen several of the live action adaptations in theaters, and I have enjoyed a lot of them, but this one just did not seem very interesting to me. It's not just the fact that they decided to race swap Ariel. Holly Bailey's got a very good voice. It's the fact that they changed songs around. They completely cut specific scenes that really made the original fantastic. Like, they got rid of the chef character because, oh no, it would be insensitive if a chef was trying to cook Sebastian. I mean, they made a lot of changes to Ariel's character as well, and overall, I know I will not go and see it, and I know a lot of other people will not as well. And yeah, this does not help them at the end of the day. They love to pretend that all press is good press and that they don't care, but secretly they do, because they ultimately just want to make money. It says, looking at the numbers, OMB Reviews pointed out, this is a movie that should have been doing better internationally. If they wanted to have a success, especially because it cost a lot more to make, for this film to be neck and neck with Aladdin, and actually in reality, when you look at the data itself behind 2019's film, that is not a good look whatsoever. Aladdin had a 3-day domestic weekend of 91.5 million. In its 4-day opening domestic weekend, it grossed 116.8 million. It went on to gross 355 million in its entire gross run and brought in another 691 million internationally for a global gross of right over $1 billion. But with these numbers, I do not see any way possible that The Little Mermaid is going to make nearly $700 million internationally. That is just out of this world. There's no way that this film is going to make it, judging by what it has done for its opening weekend. And yeah, I mean, Disney right now is facing a bit of a disaster. Maybe they will come out on top. I do think that it will make back its budget, but I don't really think it's going to go much higher than that. And I personally don't see any way it's going to hit $1 billion. But yes, right now, box office analysts are predicting that it could be a complete flop, and it opened to slightly lower numbers than projected. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.